Hey, when did you
Come
show up?
on, Bill. Hey.
No, it's going to cost us. It's going to cost us. It's going to cost us.
No, should I go public domain?
Gosh, yes.
What's a good wedding public domain song? Is there one?
I don't know, but I'm going to get you in
When
trouble.
it's least expected, I'll pop the
can't.
question. That's an old Lida Rose. Lida Rose
Put the
was
left
an
foot
old
in.
barbershop.
Put the left foot in. Isn't that? Put the right foot in.
That's the hokey pokey.
I know. Isn't that public domain?
It's public domain because nobody wants it.
People love that song doing the.
I know.
hokey-pokey.
You know what happened at my wedding.
I brought it up for that reason.
Oh,
Do
my
you want to
God.
tell that story? Can you tell that story?
I
Are
can
you
tell
allowed?
the story, sure. We're going to be talking about weddings today, ladies and gentlemen. A dear friend of mine from high school was the band. He had a band. He was a wedding band guy. And I asked him if he would play for my wedding. And he was very excited to do so. I was very excited to have him. And I said, here's one proviso, just one proviso. My mother-in-law does not want, and she's serious about this, she does not want anyone to play the hokey pokey. And that's the only thing she's asking. I'm going to call him Dave, right?
By the way, I love that she had the request. It bothers her so much that
Right.
she thought
Ahead of time
to make
Right.
a special request.
So I said to Dave, please, the only thing I ask, you're the band. You know this better than anybody. Just no hokey pokey. So in the middle of the wedding, everybody's on the dance floor. We're doing this dance and that dance and this dance. Everybody's having the best time. My mother-in-law is as close to me as you are right now. And we hear a segue, da-da-da-da-da-da. You put your left foot in. And my mother-in-law gives me a look like if she could shoot lasers through my head and explode my head, she would have done it, and turns and walks off the dance floor. And I'm in trouble. And I go to my friend after the set, and I go, Dave, what the hell, man? The one thing I said was no hokey pokey. Why would you do that? Why would you do it? And with absolute sincerity, he said to me, Jay, the crowd wanted it.
Did you ever explore? Was there a traumatic event in your mother-in-law's life?
I don't know. I think my mother-in-law, she has very strong
But I
opinions
thought to
about
myself, maybe at one point in her life, while she was doing the hokey pokey,
somebody put their left foot in the wrong place.
When the left foot went in, it was just something horrible.
Something went terribly awry.
Because to say,
no hokey pokey.
No hokey pokey.
Yeah. Alley cat, fine.
Did you have a big wedding? Not big wedding.
140, 150. I was young. I got married when I was 22.
And back east, yes?
Yeah. The Roslyn Country Club, Roslyn, Long Island.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're having on a woman who's a professional bridesmaid. And the really obviously is we rent professional bridesmaids. And the bigger question is why would, and then we'll get to the point of why that would even be necessary.
The only reason I can think of is the bride doesn't know another woman. Never met another woman. That's the only reason I can think of.
We're going to find out. This is the woman who originated the rental thing, and she had thousands of people apply for the job when she started expanding her business. But, I mean, there's so many questions. One of them is, you got to make up a story for the other bridesmaids that's believable about who you are.
Really? No, really? Really? No, really? Really?
So, hi, Jen Glantz. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you for having me today.
It is a delight. Now, I assume you're blurring your background because you do not want people to know where you live. There have to be people that have said, wait, that you scammed us, how did this work? There has to be.
Yeah. I feel like I'm in the witness protection program all the time. I don't want anyone to know anything about my location.
I bet that's true. No, well, so for people that don't know, I'm gonna read your bio. You are the world's first, as far as we know, professional bridesmaid, founder of Bridesmaid for Hire, a best-selling author, a blogger. You write several newsletters, and you host a podcast. Oh, you're in our business. You're not getting any younger, and you've done lots of morning shows about this thing that you do, which is
It's fascinating.
basically you are a bridesmaid for hire, which made us go, really, no, really.
Just tell everybody, I guess the best thing to do to start for people who don't know is what brainstorm led you, or desperation or inspiration led you to go, I'm going to do this, and there's an opportunity to do it. There's a need.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like so many people out there go to so many weddings, and I was one of those people. I was always the bridesmaid in my early 20s, and then people I was hardly friends with, like the kind of people who you talk to once a year, they asked me to be a bridesmaid, and that's when I thought, okay, if I could do this for people I'm hardly friends with, why not do it for strangers? So I didn't know how to start a business. I posted an ad on Craigslist offering my services as a hired bridesmaid, and the ad got 300 responses, and that's when I
my
decided to kick off the
God.
business.
That was the first ad. How far back? How far
Wow.
back was that now?
This was a decade ago, so 2014. I launched the ad, launched the business, and officially started.
And when you launched and did the first one, because you were probably ill prepared at that point because you didn't know what you know now.
Yep.
What do you remember about that first wedding and the pluses and the minuses? And were you ready to bail at that point and go, I don't know if I can continue to do this?
Oh, it was terrifying. I got on a plane to Maple Grove, Minnesota. I got off the plane and I thought, what the heck am I about to do? I'm about to go to some stranger's wedding. And I went because she had fired her maid of honor the month before. And I go to this wedding. I have the best time. I'm pretending to be her best friend. And I got back on the airplane and I'm like, okay, there is a business here. Like, there are people out there that genuinely need this, and I'm going to be that person to do it.
So, okay, pretending to be
Wait a
your
minute.
best
Was there a
friend.
moment when you're on the plane going, I'm about to be kidnapped into a cult? Have I given
Oh,
people
yeah.
my address? And things?
Yeah, you got to be a little bit crazy to do this job because you are sometimes like, I don't know who these people are. I don't ask them for their passport or social security number. Like, they could be catfishing me. They could be
my
kidnapping me. So
Or
yeah,
they
you
could
gotta
be
a
who
little
knows
risky.
what. They could be a cult. They could be a. So after the first one, the alibi always fascinates me. So you went there. You said best friend.
Yep.
Were there any other people in that bridal party?
There wasn't. No, she had
Oh.
one maid of honor that she had fired like a month before, and she had nobody else to turn
So
to.
how do you come up with the alibi story so the people around her go, so how do you know her? And you can actually pull that off.
And are you
without-
always Jen, or do you have like some
different names?
bogus
Oh, it's
name?
great. It's
Oh
great.
my
Yes,
God!
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
No. So if you hired me, the first thing I'd say is, okay, what part of your life won't be at the wedding? Can I be a friend from high school, a friend from study abroad? Could I be a friend from the month you lived in New York City? I'll try to find out what is not going to be at your wedding, and then I will be that person. Sometimes I have a fake name. I'll change up the hair. I'll do whatever I have to do to blend into your life and never be Jen Glantz if that's what you want. And a lot of people want that. They don't want me. They want somebody else in their life.
So you have to then
Oh my God.
animatedly talk to people and go, oh, I loved her so much. You know the funniest thing about her?
Yeah.
Is when she does this.
When
You've
she
gotta-
and I went to summer camp, we had a thing. We both love Bobby, and we both.
So you have to come up with intricate stories because people want intricate stories.
Yeah, but the thing is, too, at weddings, like, nobody's, like, questioning me as if I'm lying. They're like, how do you know the bride? I'm like, yoga class. They're like, okay, great, where's the open bar? I mean, they don't really care about me, you know?
Well, that's me at just about every wedding.
Although you did get busted. I read that you had a mother-in-law who got ticked off. You have been busted a couple of times, yes?
I've been close where people found out, but they didn't say anything. But yeah, a big part of the job is getting paid to be undercover. So a big part of the job is just trying to make sure no one's questioning me, changing the subject, and that's really hard.
Wait, you got to go back a step for me. What was your aspirations or training or education prior to this? Were you trying to be an actress? Were you trying, because this is like an actress's gig, but where did you think you were headed before this left turn came up?
No, I'm like, it's so funny because I'm like a little bit shy and I'm a writer and I hate weddings. I still hate weddings. So I never thought that this would become my career path, but I've always had a passion for helping people, and weddings are a complete disaster. They're complicated, they're messy, and I feel like this is the perfect environment for me to help people. But no, I had no, like, I'm not even a good friend half the time to my real friends. So I have like no background in doing this. I just stumbled into it, and then for the last 10 years, it's been my life, and I've worked hundreds of weddings for the most fascinating people.
And it's lucrative.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely get paid. Like, I get paid anywhere from $2,500 up per wedding, and sometimes close to $10,000 a wedding. They fly you out, they get you the ugly bridesmaid dress, they do it all, and it's enough money to really become a full-time job.
And how many are you doing a year at this point?
When I first started, I was doing like 50 a year, but
Oh
then
my
over the
God.
years,
Wow.
I've tapped out. Like, I have some people who I've hired and fired to work for me, and they'll do weddings with me or for me at this point. But I still do like a dozen or more a year for people myself.
So the most memorable stuff, it seems like at every wedding they're so high charged. You know, there's so much emotion going on, and there's a lot of screaming, yelling, and crying, no matter what, whether it's joyful or not.
Yes.
What are some of the things you had to deal with that you didn't ever anticipate when you got into to the business?
Weddings are not a fairy tale. They're not a rom-com. They are like a nightmare. I've had people who have started fights. I've seen fires. I had a bride get blackout drunk and start screaming, "I hate the groom. I hate this." I've had grooms go missing. I've had like everything you can think of, a cold feet, just all of these things. They really do happen. It's just that when you're a guest at a wedding, you don't really see all these things unfold. You know, I've had brides hysterically crying 5 minutes before the wedding saying, "I don't want to walk down the aisle," and the mother trying to shove them down the aisle. I mean, you just see things where you start to realize weddings are not the happiest day of people's lives.
So
Well,
what's your
if I may, though, if I may, with all deference to our guest, I'm guessing that a wedding couple that requires the services of a for-hire bridesmaid, these things would have more of a preponderance of happening at
yeah,
those
maybe.
kinds
You're
of
right,
weddings
'cause there's
than
other
perhaps
issues.
At,
Right,
my
'cause-
wedding, I would, a lot of things went wrong, but not this.
You're right. Firing the bridesmaid before you're firing a really good friend indicates trouble. So have you had to patch? Well, first of all, what is the bridesmaid's job? What is the head bridesmaid, the whatever, the matron of honor? What is ostensibly in a regular wedding, not what you're hired to do, but what is their job, and then what's your job?
We do the exact same thing, and it's almost like being that person's go-to friend for everything. So a bridesmaid would be there to help pick out the dress, to help with pickup tax. I always say they're like a personal assistant, an on-call therapist. They're a peacekeeper for the drama. They're the support system. They give the speech. They make sure people are dancing. They make sure the bride is eating. They take her to the bathroom to pee in her wedding dress, which is a whole thing in itself. They make sure things go smoothly. And, your best friend can do that for you if you have a best friend, but sometimes they're also like not really like well equipped to do this. Not everyone can step up to the plate and help somebody.
Okay, I now I have a question. So I have been at funerals where the religious leader has never met the deceased, and they've been given a couple of little tidbits from the family, and they make up a eulogy like they were best friends.
Yep.
You now get up to give a speech about your deep and long and satisfying relationship with Brenda. Where are you?
I was a poetry major in college, and I spent so much money with that major, never put it to use. So I feel like, number one, that helps me a lot. Number two, you've been to weddings. Most of the speeches are the same. You share a couple funny stories, you give them well wishes, you go off the stage. I mean, it's pretty basic things that you're saying, and then you just put in some flowery words. So yeah, these speeches are from the heart, though, in a way, because I do get to know these people. I do build a friendship with these people, but then a lot of it's just
Okay,
standard
friendship.
Oh, you could so mess them up. I mean, you could just, you could go crazy.
Have you ever
Yeah.
gotten a reaction, though, from the crowd as you're talking? You went, uh-oh, I think I went awry. I think I brought up something that maybe I shouldn't have.
The tricky part is sometimes I'll work multiple weddings a weekend, and it's sort of hard to remember the details of every wedding. So there are times when I'm just saying something and I'm thinking to myself, like, is this Brenda or is this Jessica? And your
God.
mind,
Oh my God.
so there's times like that where I'm just like really walking on eggshells.
Also, and Jerry Seinfeld does a routine about it too. Getting up in public speaking is is the number one fear of most people. You've
Yep.
seen people get up and give speeches. How bad is that? Because a lot of them get drunk before they do it. And then B, there's this thing of undermining the wedding where somebody's there who has been harboring hostility, and they get up and they're going to say something that's going to tank. How often does that happen?
I would say 80% of the speeches you hear at weddings just should not be said at weddings. They either say too many inside jokes that nobody understands, or they take a dig at the couple, or they're just long-winded. I mean, I see so many bad speeches. You're right. I think there's like a bit of a template to it, and if you follow that template, you're in the clear. But people try to be comedians and they're not. I do think, though, most of the speeches are not so memorable. So when I'm up there giving the speech, people aren't looking at me like, she doesn't know that person. They're just, again, like, when's the open bar opening back up? And when is my salad coming out? So I think in my case, a lot of people don't even question.
They don't
that
care.
I might not know
But
that
when
person.
somebody
They
else,
don't
a
care.
true friend, is giving a speech, do they mess? How often do they do stuff? Have you ever had, because in every movie, somebody gets up, and Jason, I think we were talking about this prior to.
What true friend? If they had a true friend, she's not at the wedding.
But I mean, people that are there, you never hear if stand up if you have something to say, or forever hold your
Oh,
peace.
yeah, forever hold
that
your
thing.
peace.
But I hear at weddings that people stand up and say stuff or reveal stuff. She's having an affair. Or whatever. Have you been to one of those where somebody spilled the beans?
I mean, the worst situation I've ever seen is that the person that the groom is having an affair with entered the wedding, came to the wedding, and the bride saw this woman, and that started a whole thing right there. So that was one of the weirdest things that have ever happened.
Is that frowned upon? Is that not
good?
Usually we hire security for those purposes.
But when you say started a thing, we talking cake throwing, chair throw? What happened?
She didn't want to get married, and she delayed the whole ceremony, and she wanted to back out, and we had to get the woman out of there. So that's real. But in speeches, the biggest mistake I see is, you're right, people bring up, this person was hooking up with everybody in college, or they're saying things that are just so inappropriate.
And is this stuff that the groom didn't know?
Yes, and it's just like, how did you think that was okay to mention like the hot tub scene in Vegas? Like, it's just things like
she
that.
has
People
things no vaccine can touch.
Man, you must be really good, because after the 62 guys she's been with,
There's something about you.
people can't just help
Hector?
themselves. Wow.
Wow.
Now, did I read that you said you've been bitten? You've been
What?
Yeah, bitten, bribed, etc. Were you bitten?
I was bitten by a dog once.
Oh,
I
by
had
a
to walk
dog.
a dog down the aisle before and like shepherd around a dog for a wedding. But I've dealt with everything from bodily fluids to fires I've had to put out, to fights, to every type of physical thing like that.
Fights. You're breaking up a fight and then making sure they get married.
Well, sometimes it's fights between guests, or mothers of the bride and the groom are fighting. I mean, you see it all. And again, these are things that happen at everyday weddings. It's just that sometimes you don't notice them.
Wow, it's right. Wow,
Jen,
it's right.
You have such a delightful take on this, and it just seems like you are. If anybody was going to do this, you seem like the perfect person. But does it ever strike you truly where it stays with you that it's kind of also a very sad situation? I mean, do you ever just go, oh man, this is more than I want to get involved with? And
I think the toughest part for me was realizing that I always thought before this, everyone was getting married because they were madly in love. But you start to realize that a lot of people don't get married for love. They get married for other reasons, or they get married for a version of love that's very different than what I thought love was. And I think that was the toughest part. I'd had people tell me, I don't love him, but I'm 39 and I'm going to get married because I have no other options. I've had people tell me I'm flat out marrying him for the money. I've had people tell me, I'm marrying him for all these different reasons, and there's nothing wrong with that. I never judge anyone, but I think that was the toughest part to stomach, is that people are making these decisions in life that they don't have to make. They don't have to get married, but they think they do for reasons.
So I'm curious. I used to say on the air, because I was married second time, that when people get married, they know if it's wrong. They know at that moment, but they go through with it because they don't want to embarrass themselves, because everything's paid for, because they like the bride's family or groom's family, so they're marrying the family to get away from their family. But they know at that day. Can you tell, having done so many weddings over this period of time, can you tell who's going to stay together, and do you follow up to see if you're right?
I do follow up to see, and I've always found that I'm so wrong, because there might be a couple who are fighting. I've had couples screaming, cursing at each other at the wedding, and they get married and they stay together for 10 years, or they stay together forever, because that's love to them. And then I've had couples that I think are so in love that don't make it a year. But I do think I've had everyone say, who doesn't make it, that inside when they're walking down the aisle, they know.
Well,
I think so. Right.
I'm going to push back on that, because if you...
Why would you push back? Who are you going to push back on that? Who are you?
I'm going to tell you.
Go ahead.
So if you looked at my wedding album, now I married my wife when I was 22 and Dana was 25. And we've been together for 43 years, and we are more in love than we've ever been. And I thank God for her every day. There is a photo of her walking down the aisle where it looks like a truck is bearing down on her. She has fear and disgust and doubt in her eyes that we laugh about it all the time. And if you saw that photograph, you'd go, this girl is not sure she wants to do this today. And if that's the case, I don't know how this is going to last. And she will admit, in that moment, as she was walking down the aisle, she went, what am I doing? What am I doing? This man doesn't look like what I dreamed my Prince Charming would look like. I like him very much. I've only known him a year and a half.
But I'm
what
all
are
in,
we
and I
doing?
think
He's a child. He's 22. I'm only 25. Everything that you could think about this is not right was going through her head. And then this rabbi that we didn't know married us and referenced something from our lives that we couldn't believe he would have known. And we started giggling during the ceremony, and we went, okay, we're okay. But I mean, if you had looked at that photograph, you would have thought, this is not gonna.
So to that point, how many weddings have you done where it fell apart, and you, no matter what you did, threatening, bribing, whatever it is, you couldn't keep it together?
You know, I mean, there's a lot that don't even make it to the wedding. I've been hired to end engagements before the wedding has begun because they don't have friends to tell the truth to, so they'll hire me to help them end the engagement. I've had people back out on the day of, the week of, but over the last 10 years, the ones I followed up with, you know, maybe like 30% haven't made it in the course of 10 years, which is relatively, you know, normal for divorce rates and things like that. But again, it's so hard to know. And I mean, you know, like, people have secrets that they're carrying that you wouldn't know. So even though they seem happy on their wedding day, you don't know how the next couple of years.
But what I meant was, how many didn't make it on the wedding day? How many couldn't you save on the day of to pull off the wedding? What percent?
I've had about five. I've had about five that on the wedding day, they completely had cold feet. They ended it on the wedding day.
In 10 years, that's not bad.
The thing is, of those five, the majority of them have decided right before that they're not going to legally get married, but they'll walk down the aisle, they'll have the pretend ceremony, and then they don't sign the marriage license. Like, how would you know if they signed the marriage license or not? They just don't.
Really?
That's a really.
Yes. How would you know? You would have no idea if they
And what
signed
happens to the
actual
gift
paper.
registry at that point?
They keep it. Yeah,
They keep it.
or they give it back because they paid for the wedding and it's all evened out. But sometimes they'll break up, but they won't tell guests for a year. You don't really know what's going on in a lot of people's lives, is what I've sort of seen.
Wow.
So next time you're at a wedding, ask to see the marriage license signatures.
All right, as long as you're a professional, and we have a professional, I want to ask you this question so that everybody listening will know, who's ever going to be a bridesmaid. What are the list of things that a really good bridesmaid from the first moment you say yes till you're out the door? What's that list? What's their job?
The number one thing I would say is never say yes immediately, because as a bridesmaid, it's not one size fits all. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. You might be asked to be a bridesmaid for a wedding, and she might have all these expectations for you that you don't know about and you can't commit to. So if you're asked to be a bridesmaid, say, thank you so much. I'd love to learn more about what you're expecting from me. Because sometimes people are like, I want you to pay $3,500 for a bachelorette party and $600 for a dress, and you have no money, so you can't do that. And then it causes resentment. So before you even accept, figure out what the expectations are. As a bridesmaid, again, set a budget for yourself so that you're not overspending. The average bridesmaid spends like $1,500 a wedding, which is a lot of money, especially in your 20s. So that's one thing to think about. But if you want to be a good bridesmaid, aside from that, just be a really good friend. Check up on that person, ask what you can do to help, be there for them, give them a space to be honest with you. That's really all it takes, is just being a supportive person.
So as we come to a close here, I know this one's going to take him down, and I don't know if you know this, but I was going to ask you the current trends in weddings, what they do, and I read this, and I was going to tell Jason the other day, and I said, no, save it, ready? Birds of prey as ring bearers. In other words, you're hiring a hawk or falcon that's going to fly in with the ring and deliver it. What could possibly
Is this the red wedding of Game of Thrones?
What could possibly go wrong there? Can you imagine?
Why birds of prey? Why not
It's just-
doves? Why not?
I'm reading what they're doing. I didn't
Birds of
originate it.
prey.
Birds of prey. You put it in the eagle's mouth or whatever, and the guy says, I'm a trainer. I can get him to land right on your mother's arm or whatever. Have you seen that one yet?
I haven't seen birds, but I've seen like somebody release live butterflies, and then like all the butterflies, like, that was weird. So I've seen people use like live, I guess, animals or things. But yeah, I always say like avoid incorporating animals into your wedding day, because it's weird and it's probably not great for the animals.
Well, you've also had to scoop up dog poop, right?
Dog poop, yeah, with my hands, yeah.
With your hands?
Yeah, we were
Wow.
outside at a wedding, and the brides were about to walk down the aisle, and there was dog poop in the aisle, so I scooped it up with my hands and moved it aside so that their dresses wouldn't be stained. I mean, I didn't want their white dress to have poop all
This
over
is a
it.
good
Can I just say
bridesmaid.
something?
This is somebody.
Bridesmaid, this is someone I want to have working for me in any capacity. This is like, I'm there. You need me, I'm there.
So any other trends, not the birds of prey, but anything else that we're seeing happen now in the future? Smaller weddings?
Have you been in like a flash mob? Have they asked you to do that thing too?
Yeah, the flash mobs are definitely still there. I think one of the best trends now is that the wedding is actually smaller, but on the other side, the bachelorette parties have become a little more outrageous. So they're making these bachelorette parties that are 3 days long, spending thousands of dollars on them, inviting a lot of friends to that, and then making the actual wedding a little bit less money and a little bit smaller. So that's a huge trend. In my opinion, and I know this sounds crazy, I think bridesmaids are going to be extinct in the next decade. I think people are going to have less bridesmaids because they don't have a lot of friends, or their friends can't be there for them.
So we
I
wanted
think
to
that's a
close
trend.
with that and that issue. The other part of having you on was how sad it is. And I know your quote was people don't have the support network they need, not just on their wedding day, but in life. And we're seeing that trend in life. And I have some stats about it that can go on later. But are you seeing that's more and more people are isolated and don't have close friends, and that's why they need you?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I would say that the majority of people who reach out to me always have a story, and the story sounds like, hey, I grew apart from my friends, or I don't have anyone to support me because of where I am in my life. And it's completely common. And weddings are a time when there's such a spotlight on you. And if you don't have what everyone else thinks you have, you feel extra lonely. So a lot of people reach out because they just don't have what people think they have in their life.
Boy. And also, the weird thing about aloneness, because after COVID, is there's aloneness and then there's loneliness. Some people found that during COVID, they didn't mind being alone. And it's called pruning your friends, where you go, yeah, that guy from the club or that guy from work, it's too much trouble.
Is that an option?
Okay. Before this gets ugly, Jen, because I know
Wait,
that look.
It's called pruning? Pruning a friend. And how does that work exactly?
You know
how
what?
does that
Bite me. Just
Is
bite
that is that done with a phone call? Is it on an email? Is it
No,
is
it's
there
usually done
is there an
face-to-face,
exchange of
unless they're
legal
a coward.
documents?
Unless
or-
they're a coward, it's done face to face.
Okay, but if they are a coward, tell me how that would work.
Pretty much this way. A lot of conversation that you find out later.
Jen, are you married?
I am. I actually am married.
How was your
yes.
wedding?
We did not have a wedding. We got married on the outside of the coffee shop that we had our first date during the pandemic, and it was the best. We had no bridesmaids, we had no anything, and it was perfect for someone like me.
So seriously, so you got married post your entrance into this field, and
Yeah.
did you anticipate a different wedding prior to doing this work?
You know, I was never the kind of person that dreamed of weddings, or I just wanted to make sure I was marrying what I thought was the right person for me. And then when I started this business, my view of love just went downhill. And even when I met this person I'm married to, I was like, hey, I don't know how I feel about love and marriage and all of this. So he was very patient with that. But I couldn't figure out what to do for my wedding because I'd been to so many weddings and I have a weird perception of them. So we just decided a week before we got married to just get married outside of the coffee shop on the sidewalk in Manhattan. And yeah, we don't regret it. You know, we saved a lot of money and it was perfect for, I think, what I needed out of a wedding.
I actually think that's very romantic.
And what percentage, as we say goodbye, what percentage of the brides you never want to see again the rest of your life?
I'd say like 80%, maybe more than that.
So not a lot of friendships, long-term friendships made from these things. You get to really
Yeah.
see
She's
the
pruning. She's pruning.
She's pruning.
Yeah.
Well, because she really gets to see these people at the worst moments.
Well, that's the thing.
a lot of pressure,
Yeah,
so-
it is.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah, don't call me.
How many women are working for you at this point?
So I've had over 100,000 apply to work for me, and I've only hired like about 5 on and off over the years, and it's a very big turnover rate. I feel like most people go to a couple weddings and then never want to do it
'Cause
again.
it's so
But a lot of
beat it, right.
people want the job, but I don't think they understand the job.
And your husband works with you still in the weddings, driving or doing something, or what?
When I first met him, I was like, I have a job for you. You're going to be a groomsman for hire. And he was like, absolutely not. I want nothing to do with this world. But he'll often come with me to weddings, come at the end, like for the last hour or so. But he wants nothing to do with the business.
Do you and he eat at the weddings? Are you allowed to eat?
Yeah, well, he'll come, he'll eat, he'll drink toward the end if he's allowed.
so that's
or he'll
nice.
pick
It's a
me
little
up.
bonus.
Yeah. Yeah, but he
Get a
can't
little
pretend to know.
Get a little takeout box.
Yeah,
A little
that's-
takeout box.
That's all you care about is the
Yes.
the swag
yes,
bag.
Yes,
Yeah,
no, the
right.
food. I would make a plate for myself. You take it home. You can eat after the wedding. Well, and you did have a nervous breakdown in an airport, didn't you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, how could you do this job and not have a couple nervous breakdowns?
I don't know. And you continue. How much longer do you think you're going to be doing this?
I want to do it for the rest of my life. I know that sounds crazy, but I don't ever see myself not doing it because I really love working with these people.
But don't you then, as you get older, isn't a bridesmaid going to go, who's the 82-year-old bridesmaid in our bridal
would
party
be
here?
more
What's that
concerned-
story?
You know what I would really be more concerned about is because it's a small world. That somebody, when he goes, wait a minute, I know who that woman
That's
is.
the girl from the Today Show. But no, you don't think it'd be odd that the bridesmaids are all 28 and you got one that's 82 and they're going, how did you get here?
But that's
I'm doing it for the rest of my life. I'm not quite. Oh, we went to
I
Cabo
made
together.
Grandma
we
my
went
bridesmaid.
we got
It's
massages.
Grandma Elizabeth.
Well, continued success and be safe.
Should we
safe.
be looking for your poetry work as well anywhere?
Yeah, I mean, I write nonfiction books. I have my book, Always a Bridesmaid for Hire. I have a blog called The Monday Pick Me Up, and I'm just continuously writing real stories from real life.
And how booked up are you? If somebody called now, how booked up? Can they book you for next weekend?
Not next weekend, but you can book me for the end of 2024, 2025.
And I
And if you
guarantee
can't book
you.
me, you guys want to work for me, we could hire you on as well.
my
if
Oh
you
yeah,
wanted to do
yeah,
it.
absolutely. You know what? if this thing doesn't work out,
That's our
you're gonna
next
get a
gig. That's
call.
our next
Call
gig.
me.
Yeah.
But it's the two of us. We got to be in the bridal
Yeah.
party together.
You're the best man. I'm the
Duck,
tumbler.
here
I
comes the
guess,
bird
isn't
of
it?
prey.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I took cousin Ernie's eye out. Well, thank you. Pleasure.
That's all right.
man.
We have a fake doctor here as well. So.
Yeah, everybody's fake. The whole thing is fake.
Unbelievable.
Well, thanks.
Jen. I would throw you my bouquet, but I'm sans at the moment. It's great to
you.
meet you.
Continued
You
success,
too.
and what a
Thank
fascinating,
you.
what a fascinating job it is. For
I
you,
have,
good for
I
you.
have one question,
Good,
though.
good.
Yeah.
I have one question. How many of the grooms are aware of the
Good
the
question.
chicanery?
Honestly, I'd say it's 50-50. Sometimes when they don't even tell the person they're marrying that they hired me.
Because that's
Starting
healthy.
the,
You know what?
the marriage
Yeah.
health,
What's
right.
great is
Yeah.
entering a relationship for the rest of your life
Yeah,
with a
with
giant
that kind
secret.
of honesty
Big
and
secret.
trust.
Yes,
yeah,
thank
it's
you.
lovely.
Yeah,
Lovely.
it happens. Yeah.
Solid. Yeah. All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank
Nice
you.
to
You
meet
take care of yourself.
Really lovely to meet you. Continued
You too.
success.
So fascinatingly, I looked up some stats. 30 years ago, 33% of U.S. adults reported having 10 or more close friends, not counting relatives. Now, 13% say that.
Yeah. Well, here's what's even. Let me
That's
add
that's
to
a
that.
big jump.
So I've been married 43 years. If I look at my wedding album now, the friends contingent of people that were at my wedding, I would say only about 10% of those people are in my life at this point. And they were the people closest to me. So, and that's with not a pandemic and not, I don't.
But you're in
I
a
don't
unique
know what's
you're in a
happening with
unique position. This is 40 some years later, and also you're in an industry. I made a lot of friends with actors and talent, whatever. And
Yes,
you're
and
in
I'm
a
in a
group, and
business
then you
where
move to the
friends-
next.
yes,
It's like
friends are
it's a
transient.
nomadic
It's
thing.
true, it's true.
But I find this was really an eye opener for me, especially for people who are a little older that have experienced this or remember it. In the 70s, America stopped moving from place to place as much. Americans used to move a lot around the country and to different states and whatever. They stopped moving as much. And then in the 90s, there's a really interesting book called Bowling Alone. And it was America's penchant. If you think about it, in the 90s, people belonged to Rotary clubs, bowling clubs. It was bowling night. It was card night. My parents used to have people come over to play bridge.
Sure.
So you had all of these organizations, and it went into freefall. And all of that stuff went bust. It doesn't exist anymore. So that kind of
I have
social
card night. I have card night every Friday
I'm
night.
not invited. I
You're
know,
not
again.
You with a
I hate-
game?
I hate-
You
I hate-
playing a game?
I hate cards.
You'd find me hanging from the chandelier.
From 2003 to 2022, American men reduced the average face-to-face time that they have with friends by 30%. Teens, 45%. And then you had social media and all that stuff in COVID, yes. But I forgot about that. Growing up, everybody had there were all kinds of groups and clubs and chess clubs.
That wasn't me.
But in America, that was there, and it doesn't exist anymore. Those things don't exist.
Really?
Yeah, it's diminished greatly.
But
This is why
but
bowling
people
alleys are
still have
closing. That's why
people are still on teams. And they
some
still
are,
have-
but it's not what it was. It's not what it was, and we're not socializing the same way. And then, of course, COVID put a big nail into that.
well, it's true. We're all being driven into our little cubbies.
And one more curious trend
Yes.
from the data: the average time that Americans spend with their pets has roughly doubled in the past 20 years because more people have adopted pets because they spend more time with them. So the trending is they've traded in people for pets, which you could see during COVID because your pet's around, and especially with mine. I mean, I'm at a really precarious time with my pet where we have to actually put him down, which is horrible. I came in today with that, but the pets have replaced people.
Yeah.
So you add all of that in. You add all of that
get
in,
it.
and you got hiring a bridesmaid because I have no friends.
well, maybe there's an opportunity here.
We can be friends for hire?
We can be friends for hire. What?
Yeah, I'd rather not. I'd
why
rather stay
not?
home. Because you know what? Do you remember?
I'll be your friend.
Do you remember Jerry
Hire
Seinfeld
me.
did a charity night for us? You had
Yes.
listed Jerry, and he did it for MS, I think.
Yes.
And Jerry's opening that night, I'll never forget it, was, "Thanks for coming in. I know what you're thinking. Oh, this is the day we got to go to that. Can we cancel? We can't cancel.
He did the out and back.
the out and back, where everybody's. It was
Gotta
all
go out. We gotta get
I
out.
don't want to go out. I don't want
I gotta get back.
I'm at that place now where I've used. I think I got COVID at least 40 times not to go out.
Yeah.
Don't you find when you're invited out more and more you're going? Yeah, I like this.
I like going out. I don't like. I gotta tell you, I don't love weddings. I don't love weddings.
Weddings, forget that.
I would. My son Gabe, because of COVID, had a wedding that I loved. It was in our backyard, and it was about 22 people. And it
you
was
had to
right in the
walk to your
height of
backyard.
COVID.
Couldn't
And
go anywhere.
and I, every time I look at the little patio in my backyard, I go, "That's where my
Oh,
son
that's
got
where
married." A year later, they did a party. They did the big
I saw
party,
it, was it?
and I was thrilled for them. I was delighted
But it
to
wasn't
do
as
it.
magic,
But I
yeah.
go, this is fun.
But you still,
yeah.
how often do you turn down I want to go out? You're invited out. You want to go out? You want to go see this one? And you go, yeah.
Here's what I don't do as much. Honestly, this is if friends say, "Hey, let's go have dinner," I'm interested. But if anybody, like even if Dana says to me, "Hey, should we go and see a movie?" I go,
Well, because you got an 80-inch TV at home and you can go to the bathroom.
yeah, but I'm not watching that either.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Hello, David.
Oh, hello.
The tech is working great today. Good to hear you. See ya.
I had to unmute myself. The hokey pokey.
Yeah.
The hokey pokey. Well, this actually might be your mother-in-law's issue. There was some controversy related to the hokey pokey. Some felt that the song was originally composed to mock a Catholic mass. So I don't know if she's
What?
Catholic. I don't know. That actually is not true. The hokey pokey goes way back. With some, with some saying that there were different versions of it, and then it was written by a guy named Jimmy Kennedy in 1942.
Oh, Jimmy Kennedy, yes.
Error.
Yeah. There are. It was originally there. It was the hokey cokey.
I think it's enough
The
there.
hokey cokey.
It was a hokey cokey. In fact, the United States, Canada, and Ireland, we are hokey pokey places, but the rest of the world, it's hokey cokey. Hokey cokey.
May I say fascinating, and I say that complete. I'm lying as I'm saying fascinating.
Well, all right. I'll come back at you. Meetup.com, which is of course the website and the app where people could go, meet other people that like to bicycle or play bridge. They have 60 million registered users since 2002.
What does that mean, though? That means
That's your
that they're
clubs.
online.
That's your clubs.
Online.
People want to meet.
Online.
To bicycle, to play cards.
No,
to
meetup
bowl.
is to meet up. You meet
You
up.
meet people and you do things together.
Why do you always have to hit me when you're making a point? I'm trying to make a point.
Because you don't listen.
You get physical. I heard everything you said. I
Only
just
because
believe
you have earphones
you're
on.
wrong.
If I wasn't
You're
talking into a
wrong.
microphone going directly into your ears,
And by the way, we have
you'd
earphones.
so ignore me.
When we sit next to each other, it's like we don't have earphones on at a restaurant. We're sitting.
I know, this is the most arbitrary thing in the world, I know.
But for David, yes.
And most
Mm-hmm.
interestingly, Lori actually has a wedding story from her.
Oh,
first
here we go, Laurie.
What, Lori?
Producer Lori. Do we have her music?
Lori,
Wait.
the Blue Jean Bride.
Wait. Have we loaded in her intro music yet?
No, I'll use David's intro.
What's her intro music?
You can't
Whatever
use
it is.
mine. You have to
I'm
have
using
your
yours,
I'm
own.
against
David.
it.
Your proposition may be good, but let's have one thing understood. Whatever it is, I'm against it. And even when you've changed it or condensed it, I'm against it.
But you were talking about when you walked down the aisle, my first marriage. I met a guy a month before my wedding.
Oh boy.
I really liked him, and I invited him to the wedding. And as I was walking down the aisle, I wanted to cancel my wedding, but my Nana had flown in from New York.
There you go.
and I went through with the wedding.
For that. Yep.
And then dated the guy after I divorced my husband.
And then
And did that work out?
no.
It didn't, but it was lovely.
Did he know that you were thinking of him whilst you were walking down
He
the
knew.
aisle?
He knew.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
Laura, that's why I
Wow.
asked, because anybody who's been divorced, my theory has always been, you know, when you're standing there
You
that it's
know.
wrong. You know, and you do it for all these reasons, either guilt or, like you said, that it's exactly right that people go through because their guilt. And then, how long did it last? The first wedding, the first.
5 years.
All right.
Yeah.
And then, how long did the?
2 years.
By the way, did you wear jeans when you were dating him? Also, did you get dressed up? I love Laurie. Went, yeah,
Blue
I'm getting
jean
married, but I'm
bride.
just putting on jeans. I don't, whatever's clean in the closet. You picked out whatever smells. And by the way, do you know that the origin of the wedding dress, way before the wedding dress, do you know what the bride used to wear, Laura? Anything that was clean. Seriously, from their closet. It was from their closet. They didn't buy
Makes
special
sense.
dress and stuff. Yeah.
They
So
didn't?
no, they did not. Way back in Rome, ancient Rome, they're not going. I'm going to 23, whatever. Always 17 or always 58 or whatever.
AD.
Oh, that's really funny. Well, thank you for that. But I would bet
Well,
that
to
most
all
people
you
same story.
young engaged couples out there.
Wait, I got to
hopefully-
sorry. One more thing. Hold on.
Yeah.
Because of the internet and COVID, do you know where either of those people are anymore? Your ex-husband or the ex-boyfriend?
The ex-husband, no. But the ex-boyfriend, yes, we're in contact.
Sure.
okay.
Because, you never know.
Because it's the just in case, an emergency
Yeah.
number.
It is.
They're not an idiot. She's got backup.
By the way, how many people during COVID
Yeah.
contacted like their high school people? You start, you're bored, you're out of your mind. You start contacting people you remember, people you haven't seen in years, that kind of thing. I guarantee that happened a lot. Yep.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know.
No, because everybody knows. It's not like a guy in high school goes,
Why
I
are
wonder
you
what happened to
yelling?
Jason Alexander.
I pondered a question, and all of a sudden you're on me
Because it's
like
just-
Jack Ruby, for God's sake.
Speaking of that, would I look better in a hat? Anyway.
Hey, everybody, if you're out there and you're engaged, have
Thank
a
you,
wonderful wedding. Enjoy your friends. Enjoy your married life. I think marriage is wonderful. I've been blessed, and
We
we'll
all
a
have.
good
We all
time.
have been blessed.
I'm talking about myself.
I know, which is usually what happens.
this
We're in this
marriage.
relationship, this marriage.
This relationship.
This has not been this has been a 30+ year marriage. Come on.
It has.
What do
And
you
I'd
think?
like to go out on this note as we go to our
And here we
answer
go.
now.
Will it make me tear up or will it make me stab you? Ah,
You put your left hand in, you put your left hand out, you put your
That is
left
an
hand
annoying
in,
friggin'
and you
song.
sing
I'm
it
with the
all
mother-in-law.
about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn
You know what's
yourself
even more
about.
annoying?
That's what it's all about. Keep talking.
You know what's even more
You put
fun?
your right hand.
When you sing it with enthusiasm. Like, that's when
You put
you're
your
selling
right
it.
hand in and you jerk it all
It's the
about.
dumbest thing.
You do the hokey pokey and you turn
singing
yourself
nothing.
around. And that's what it's all about.
I know, but
That's
you're
the
singing. You might
lyric.
as well take a piece of cake and you put it in a ball. It's like, what are you
you
singing
can do
about?
that too.
It's nonsense.
That's not the hokey pokey, but you can do
no,
it.
that's the cakey pokey.
All right.
All right. And
Come
then
on.
there's also pokey, which is the seafood thing.
Come and pokey.